And now, sports with a Z. Lindsey Brown and Adrian Hernandez, the Playmakers, exclusively on 1140 The Bet.
Yes, indeed, a historic day for our Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, the Raiders were the first team in NFL modern history to hire a black head coach in Art Shell. And today, Sandra Douglas Morgan was announced as team president, the first black woman to ever hold that role in the entire NFL. A historic day, and here to talk to us about it is Scott Gulbransen of Silver and Black Today, the newly announced official Odyssey Sports podcast for the Las Vegas Raiders. All insider calls are brought to us by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com.
Scotty, life has a funny way of coming full circle, doesn't it?
It sure does, Adrian. Lindsey, glad to be with you. By the way, we had a lobster as a pet. Technically it was a crayfish. My kids had it, which, just so you guys know, is illegal in Nevada. So I was breaking the law, but we had
Breaking the law. The illegal crayfish. She didn't tell me this.
Badass Brown and Badass Scott on the line. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and as Adrian has said several times, a huge day in the world of Raider Nation. Sandra Douglas Morgan being named new team president. She's also the third Raiders team president in less than a year. Stabilization is definitely needed in this organization. So what do you think her first order of business will be to that effect?
Well, let me first say, guys, I mean, I know the historic nature, obviously, of African-American woman, but I didn't even consider that at first because the hire is so good. Sandra Douglas Morgan, the thing that I love most about this hire is her experience, what she's done as attorney, what she did on the athletic commission in Nevada, and the fact that she also was involved with the Las Vegas Bowl. So she's got some sports background. Of course, her husband also played at that school up north we don't talk very much about in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, she has such a great background. And the most important thing, she is a native Las Vegan, right? Just like my wife. So I think this is a huge hire, not only because she is so qualified to do the job, but she also understands the market and cares about the market. She's not, excuse the expression, some carpetbagger from out of town. She's not somebody who just wanted an NFL job and comes in and doesn't understand the market. And I think that's very important for this team and where it's at. And I think for her as well, with the turmoil, you mentioned it, Lindsey, and this isn't going to be popular because everybody's going to say, well, let's celebrate the fact, first African-American woman, the whole thing. And that is great. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it fits in line with what the Raiders have always done. But don't forget, this team is under a cloud of issues around sexual harassment. So the fact that it is a woman, to me, is good. And it shows that they're probably looking to take it seriously, which is good. If you have allegations, you need to make sure that if there is issues in the organization, no matter where they are, that you take care of it. And here's somebody who I think will go at it from the perspective where they can get past it, figure out what they need to fix, if there's still things inside to fix, if all the problems aren't gone, and do it. And I'm just really excited about it, and I think she's going to do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Diversity is key just because there's different eyes and ears and experiences, like you said, that really keep an eye out for others that are not in that power position. And so a huge step. And it's also not the only position that's turned over this year as well. And it's really easy to kind of paint over a bad coat of paint. But do you feel like this franchise has righted the ship? How far do you extend your confidence or maybe the benefit of the doubt at this point?
Well, I think we still have some things we got to wait to see what happens with all of this, right? Because I know the team has been tight-lipped as they would be because you're talking about a legal issue, and anybody who's worked in the corporate environment, as soon as someone starts alleging something, you got to just shut up. It doesn't matter how bad it makes you look; you just have to do that. But I do think that with this hire and with the other moves they've made, especially on the football side of the operation, I think they're going to get over it, and they have such positive momentum in other areas. So I would like to see this happen. I would like to see Sandra Douglas Morgan come in and address it, and perhaps after she gets settled and she actually moves into her office and can kind of get down to business a little bit, that she addresses it publicly too, to the extent that she can, so that the team can get by it. I think that's the problem. I've been critical, as much as credit as I've given Mark Davis over time, and including with this hire. I've been critical of him too because they've been so quiet on the issue. I'm not going to talk about it. Well, guess what? That leaves people up to the media accounts and all these other things that are happening, and frankly, the people alleging some of these terrible things. So I think her role is to be able to come in and stabilize it. And number one, she's got to start in-house. She's got to stay to the employees who I talk to, off the record, who give me information from inside in the business side of the business. They talk about it and say, hey, the morale has been terrible for a long time, okay, since the move. And so they need to take care of that. So if I'm her, I want to make sure the employees you have in-house are happy, that they feel like they're being listened to, and that they're starting to see change.
And Scott, you brought up a lot of good points, and I guess I just want to get your opinion, because this, to me, you brought it up. I think she's going to bring stability. I think this is the type of woman that you want front and center to represent the organization, not only to us here in the city, but throughout the league, and be one of the faces of it. But in your opinion, do you feel like she's going to be empowered to make changes and not just be a public face? Because you brought it up, Lindsay brought it up, the Raiders have a lot of work to do.
I think she does, because I think, number one, the spotlight is on, right? This has happened. The media is covering it. Everybody knows what's going on. It's a national story. And so you can't just bring in a face. And by the way, again, I want to underscore that I don't believe that she is just a face anyway. Yes, she's African-American. She's a woman. Yes, that's true. It's all true, and it's great. But at the same time, this is an extremely talented and experienced, and more than anything, guys, proven professional. Look at her record and what she's done. This isn't the kind of person where you look at her resume and say, how did she get that job? Or, boy, they're taking a reach here. Yeah, she hasn't been in the NFL, but that doesn't matter. She's run organizations. She worked at the city of Las Vegas as a city attorney there. This is somebody who knows multifaceted and deep organizations, and I think that is a huge deal. So I think she is empowered, and I think she's going to have the ability to go in. And she said it today, I think, at the press conference. She said something to the effect of, hey, listen, I'm going to be clear here. I'm not going to avoid or sidestep problems and concerns, she said. And I think that's true. So that tells me she's got a mandate. Go in, clean out whatever you got to do, get to the bottom of this stuff, and let's move forward.
Yeah, if anything, she's overqualified, and just like the diversity in her backgrounds, I think will serve them well. But just to kind of shift some gears here, because we do want to talk some football with you. We got Silver and Black today, Locked On Raiders, all these great things. It feels like it's been ages since we've talked, Scott, but that's what the offseason is for. And with camp quickly approaching, other than watching Devontae Adams just snare lasers out of the air, where will you be focusing your attention on this invigorated roster?
I'll say 2.5 areas, and there's really 3, but I'll call it a half. Number one is the offensive line. How is the right side going to gel together? To me, going into camp, this roster has improved in so many ways, and you talked about one of them, obviously, with Adams. But that offensive line, if Derek Carr doesn't have the time to throw and he's on his backside, he can't get the ball to the receivers and the multitude of receivers that he has now. So that's the concern there, and I think it comes down to Alex Leatherwood. To me, he is a key factor. Will he come along? Josh McDaniels thinks that he can do it, and that he will be able to coach him to the next level, which we didn't see last year after his move to guard. Now he's going to move back to right tackle, and to me, that's a big part of the season. If he can play, he doesn't have to be an all-pro, doesn't even have to be a pro bowler. If he can play really good football, then this Raiders offense is going to click on all cylinders, and I don't think much is going to stop them. Now, on the other side of the ball, defense, I think you go back to defensive backs. It's been an issue going on. Cornerback, is Trayvon Mullen going to be able to stay healthy? Are the additions there going to help them? Is Jonathan Abram going to reach his potential now that he's not been given his option, that they made that choice? That's it. And then that half or third area, I'd say, that I'm really focused on going into camp, Lindsay and Adrian, is the defensive front. We know Mad Max Crosby. We know Chandler Jones on the other end. Those guys are 2 edge guys that you're just salivating to watch this season, right? But you got to have the push up the middle, and the Raiders have not consistently had it, so that allows offenses to neutralize those guys at time. Is that front, defensive front of the Raiders going to finally, under Patrick Graham, be able to make the push they need to get the defense and that pass rush to the point where this team is going to be a true contender in the AFC West? I think they can do it, but a lot has riding on what we see in camp coming up on the 18th.
Scott, I got 2 names for you, Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Abram. Who has more to prove this year?
Both.
Yes.
I would say Abram, only because listen, when Josh Jacobs on the field and he's healthy, he's a very good running back. Of course, they didn't exercise the option on him, and I don't blame them, because if you know anything about Josh McDaniels' offenses in New England, they can get by with 2 or 3 different running backs. They don't need that kind of bell cow workhorse, 1,500-yard rusher. They don't usually do it that way. So I think Josh Jacobs has a lot to prove, but he's also proven a lot already. Jonathan Abrams, not so much. I think for him, he's got to be able to show what he can do. And if he's going to get his next contract, whether it's with the Raiders or someone else, I would gather that it'll probably be with somebody else, even if he plays well. He's going to have to go out and show that not only can he get better, but he can learn how to cover people as well.
You already kind of touched on it in terms of the deployment of our running back stable that we have here. But in terms of strategic psychology and what we know about the McDaniels offense, what are they going to run on like 3rd and long situations? What big difference are we going to see in some of those big moments where the Raiders have fallen short the most?
Well, I think number one, I think it starts on 1st and 2nd down, Lindsay, to set up those shorter 3rd downs, right? We saw with the Raiders a lot of 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11. And so I think what you'll see is that they'll have a lot more of the playbook open to them on 3rd and short. And with that passing offense, with the 3 running backs that they do have, they're going to be able to really open it up. And that's what you saw in New England, right? You'd get these teams, especially during the Tom Brady years, you'd get them in 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 5 or less, and a lot of times they might go vertical, and try to push it down the field even. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see a lot of off-balance stuff that comes out and that will surprise. But in the AFC West, you're going to have a lot of offenses that are able to do that. But it's going to be exciting. I mean, if you're not excited about the Raiders offense and what they're going to be able to do, then I think you need to get some smelling salts or something, because it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, if you want to beat the best, you got to be the best, or maybe it's the other way around. I heard that you broke some big news this week on that podcast of yours, though.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. We've been on the radio in Las Vegas, and we were on the radio in Southern California this past year on the Meyer 1090. And now we are still in the family, and now more in the family. As you guys know, the Odyssey, the network, has done amazing podcast work, and they produce podcasts for every Major League Baseball team, and they also do just a multitude of stuff, including shows like yours and others. But they are also venturing in the NFL, and they came to us and said, "Hey, we want you to be our Raiders podcast on the network." So we are going to be an Odyssey original podcast. Yeah. We're going to be 3 days a week, including a post-game show after every Raiders game, and then twice during the week. Myself and my co-host Mo Moten, who's been hosting the show with me for a couple of years now. He's a writer at Bleacher Report and over at sportsnaut.com. So we're really excited to get at it, and we're able to tap into that whole 2400 sports studio in New York and the producers and all that stuff. It's going to be really, really exciting, and you'll hear us all over the Odyssey Network, and of course on some of the stations there in Las Vegas too.
Well, listen, Scott, congratulations, and thank you so much for the time, buddy. I know we will be talking to you very, very soon.
Yes, thank you guys. And Lindsay, I'm so happy for you that the flower is staying.
Oh, right? How can you not? It's a great time to be a Raider fan, a Wild fan. There's just so much good news flying around. But the best of news is that you're back in our fold, and we're looking forward to having you back in our playbook here, my friend.
Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care now.
Take care. There it is, Scott Gulbransen of Silver and Black today. He just said it. The newly announced official Odyssey Sports podcast for the Las Vegas Raiders. And, of course, all Insider Calls are brought to us by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com.
Nadal has a tummy ache and not the good ones. We'll get into the details next. 11:40 The Bet.